Hi, welcome back to the Petersen Automotive Museum YouTube channel. I'm Johnny Eisen, Associate Curator here at the museum, and today we're going to look at the famous Golden Sahara II, one of the most legendary custom cars from its era. It's here to help celebrate George Barris's 100th birthday, and before we get things going, we have to let the car perform its most famous trick, which is to turn on the light-up tires. This car was built by legendary American custom car builder George Barris, and it's based on a 1953 Lincoln Capri, which was Barris's daily driver until it was totaled when it fell off a trailer on the way to a car show. Barris decided to turn the wreck into the ultimate custom car. George Barris was based here in Los Angeles, and in the post-war era, he became the most famous custom car builder. His shop was sort of the hub of the custom car scene here in LA, and he built some of the most famous customs of the 50s and 60s, including many cars for movies and television. The Batmobile from the original Batmobile TV show is probably the most iconic Barris creation, but he also created cars for the Munsters TV show, as well as many other movies and television programs. He also built hot rods and custom cars. One of the most famous is the Hirohata Merc, which laid the template for the Mercury lead sled. That car is also on display here. And this year would have been Barris's 100th birthday. And we have both cars here to help celebrate that momentous event. So when Barris got the idea to kind of build the ultimate custom car, he met a man named Jim Skouzakis, who would later go by Jim Street. Street was a custom car enthusiast and also something of a tinkerer who had built some of his own custom cars. When he saw the designs for this car, Jim Street decided that he would bankroll it and take ownership of the car when Barris was done. So why is this car called the Golden Sahara II? Well, it first made its debut at the 1954 Petersen Motorama. And if that name sounds familiar, it is because that show is named after the same person who this museum is named after, Robert Petersen, the publisher of Motor Trend magazine, among many other car magazines. He's had his own auto show called the Petersen Motorama, and that's where this car was first presented to the public. That was 1954. In 1956, the car's owner, Jim Street, made many revisions to the car, adding a lot of technology as well as some other design features. This car, of course, epitomizes mid-century space-age design. It really kind of looks like what people at that time thought we'd be driving in the future, in the 21st century. It's got this great bubble top. It's long and low. It features these cool fins on the wheels. It has glowing tires, which we'll talk about in a moment. 24-karat gold trim with all these interesting nubs, which actually come from a bunch of car radios. Those were the little buttons that you'd press for your preset radio stations. It has these magnificent fins. The double fins actually were a revision that Street made in '56. And it is really just an incredible piece of automobilia from the 1950s. One fun little feature of the car are the G and the S, which are in the headlights, so you always know what car you're driving, the Golden Sahara. The interior of this car is, of course, filled with really wonderful and you might even say campy details that would only be in something from the 1950s. It's got this wonderful steering yoke, which was something that people at the time imagined would be in a spaceship or a UFO. It has this little control lever here that makes you accelerate if you push it forward, decelerate if you pull it backwards, so you don't have to use the pedal, I suppose. It also, everything is all this trim, 24-karat gold plated. These door trim pieces are etched with a really wonderful little mid-century design. You've also, of course, got this great plastic bubble, as I talked about, which comes to this magnificent widow's peak here. There's a television, there's a telephone, reel-to-reel tape recorder. It really is something that totally epitomizes the 1950s. So a lot of this gadgetry inside the car was put there by Street when he revised the car in '56 into the Golden Sahara II. There are things here that aren't operational, but were sort of aspirational, like these sensors, which would have probably helped you with telemetry and directions maybe. The TV not currently working. I'm not sure if it ever really did work. And there's also a dry bar in the back seat. This car created something of a sensation and was really the most famous custom car of its day. It appeared in the movie Cinderella with Jerry Lewis and was also on the TV program I've Got a Secret. On that TV show, it was driven by Jim Street via remote control. He actually did set up a remote control system that was based on a television remote. We see here the sensor which would receive the signal. And with a very simple remote control, he could make the car go forwards and backwards. I don't believe he actually wired in the steering system, but it really did create a vision of the future for people watching this thing on TV. They thought, hey, this is amazing. We can all drive our cars by remote control. Not sure why you'd want to do that, since really the car is a piece of transportation and you want to be in it when it's driving. But it was pretty cool. Maybe it would help you park the car, much like parking assist systems we have today. On the dashboard, we see a whole bunch of these really neat levers, almost like something out of a fighter plane cockpit. They're really quite space age. A lot of them are non-functional. He just sort of liked the look of them and would give them kind of imaginary features, one of which was voice command, which I don't believe ever actually worked, but that was something that was in Street's imagination for this car and something that he thought cars of the future would have. And he was right, we do have voice command. I love the upholstery on this car. It is obviously from a mid-century couch or chair and not really automobile upholstery, but it creates a great look. You've got that wraparound back seat that is very much like a lounge chair or a couch. Of course, there is not very much headroom back there because of this bubble top, but really this car is about looks, and it really has a great, unique look all around. Another piece of imagined technology that this car had, not operational, but something that Street again thought cars of the future would have, were radar sensors. He positioned them here under the headlights. They look incredible. They have these little antennas on there. And this was for what Street envisioned automatic braking like we have today, where it would sense if you were too close to the car in front of you or something else and would automatically apply the brakes. Another way that Street really did see the future of technology in the automobile. Another feature that made this car stand out at the time is this wonderful pearlescent white paint. This was a creation of George Barris's. He used ground up fish scales in the paint to give it this kind of shimmery look. Today we don't use fish scales anymore, but in the early days of metal flake paint, that is what they used to give it that special look. One of the most famous details of this car are, of course, these magnificent wheels and tires. First of all, you've got this great kind of spaceship-looking wheel cover here with this glowing centerpiece and these wonderful little metal doohickeys that kind of enhance the whole look. They actually look just like Lieutenant Uhura's earpiece on the original Star Trek television show. Now the tires glow because originally they were made out of a material called neothane. Neothane was Goodyear's own formula for polyurethane, and they thought that this would be a good material to make tires out of. It would be a simpler manufacturing process. You would just pour the neothane into a mold, and out came your tire. One feature of polyurethane was that it was translucent. Also, it could be colored any color, so you could have tires that match your car. Since it's translucent, Goodyear decided to add some lights to the wheels and make the tires glow. They thought that glowing tires could augment your brakes and also work as blinkers. So when you wanted to turn, your tires would blink. Originally, this car traveled with orange neothane tires. When the car was restored a few years ago, they decided to reproduce the look of the glowing tires, but they actually made them out of solid urethane so that they would stand up to the rigors of travel, unlike the original neothane tires, which didn't really prove durable enough to go into manufacture.
Now here is the Golden Sahara II, custom built for $75,000. Notice that once he sets the controls, he does not have to touch the car, he's walking down with it.
Too much. You don't
The
want
front wheels will steer according to his direction.
So for about a decade, from the mid-1950s to the mid-1960s, Jim Street took this car all around America to car shows and other events, and it really became the most famous custom car of its day. People thought it was a real masterpiece, and in fact, even George Barris said it was the favorite of all his creations. By the mid-1960s, it was starting to show the wear and tear of its life on the road, and Jim Street put it away in his garage in Ohio, where it would stay for about 50 years. Upon his death in 2018, the car went to auction. It was bought by the great Klairmont Kollections Automotive Museum in Chicago, and they undertook the Herculean task of restoring it to its former glory. And really, it looks great. So that's our look at this incredible relic of the space age, the Golden Sahara II by George Barris. I'm Johnny Eisen. Please subscribe to stay up to date on all our YouTube videos. And when you're in Los Angeles, come and visit us here at the Petersen Automotive Museum.